Dr. Louis-Philippe Cartier, head of the Institute, supervised these tests.
When my colleagues and I agreed to administer the laboratory tests, I had absolutely no idea as to the underlying cause of the subject's abnormal behavior. In all, the testing lasted a little more than 9 weeks. The most advanced instruments available to modern science were put at our disposal, including a model FT62 exosometer. The results were irrefutable. The victims had all experienced a massive sensorial excitation. This was caused by exposure to electromagnetic waves carrying a positive manipulatic charge. Such waves could only have been emitted by a television set especially equipped with a highly sophisticated electronic device. But of course, which television and the exact nature of such a device were unknown to us at the time.
To find out more about that television, detailed questionnaires were distributed to the test subjects. Their responses were analyzed carefully. The special set was the Brunswick, to all appearances just another television. It was manufactured and distributed by Brunswick Enterprises. November 16th, 1964, investigation of the Brunswick begins. Professors Jarvis, Brownstein, and Munofsky are the first to examine the set. They reach a consensus as to the fundamental nature of the unknown electronic component and begin an exhaustive and methodical examination. In the end, they are forced to concede defeat. They are quickly replaced by Professors Cameron and Goldsmith of the International League of Electronic Communicators. However, due to a slight difference of opinion over an elementary algebraic principle, Professors Cameron and Goldsmith were unable to arrive at a conclusive result. With their departure, only one ray of hope remained. Edwin C. Kwong, the world's greatest expert in the field of electronics, a two-time winner of the Nobel Prize. November 27th, 1964. Dr. Kwong begins his own analysis of the Brunswick. Where his colleagues had failed, he succeeds. To his considerable satisfaction, Dr. Kwong discovers this miniature marvel, one of the greatest achievements in the field of cybernetics. It is a masterpiece of electronic design.
The manipulode, as we've come to call it, exerts a powerful effect on the moderating region of the brain's occipital lobe. It acts directly on this sector right here. Now let's see what happens when a normal human being watches a television set equipped with a manipulode. Here we can follow the path of electromagnetic waves carrying a neutral manipulatic charge. Each second, the viewer is exposed to several hundred of these waves. The individual's consumer's control center tends to exaggerate his needs. But because the manipulatic charge is neutral, the brain's moderating region is able to suppress up to 90% of his desires. Now see what happens when the manipulode emits waves carrying a positive charge. One positive manipulatic wave is emitted each second. This wave is made up of millions of microscopic particles called Kwong particles. The instant they come into contact with his occipital lobe, they will cause a normal individual to display bizarre and irrational behavior.
That particular day, I had an urge to buy watches, although I already had a watch. I went out and I bought 15 watches. I don't know why I did it.
The reason is simple. The quark particles completely paralyze the entire moderating region of the occipital lobe and allow the consumer's control center to become master of the brain. Its inflated desires become absolute commands. The particles' effects last a minimum of 27 hours.
In no time at all, reports of this peculiar chain of events had reached every corner of the civilized world. The public knew all about the Brunswick now, about the unique manipulode. What people still didn't know was who was responsible for instigating what had become known as the Brunswick Affair.